Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. So, of the chapter that we're on now in Bulugh maraam, cleaning one's thobe from the urine of a small child, whether it's male or female, the differences between the two. And it's the age of the child that doesn't eat food yet. The child that does not eat yet. And what is mentioned, okay, we'll say it actually when we explain it, rather than jump in the gun. So it mentions, عن أبي السمح رضي الله عنه قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يغسل من بول الجارية ويرش من بول الغلام أخرجه أبو داود والنسائي وصححه الحاكم. So this hadith, it mentions that the Prophet Muhammad said the urine of a baby girl should be washed off and the urine of a baby boy should be sprinkled by pouring water over it completely. You should just pour water over the urine of the baby boy. Now, this hadith is Hasan. The hadith itself is Hasan. As for Abu Samh, then he only narrated, he was a freed slave of the Prophet Muhammad and he would serve the Prophet Muhammad and his name was Iyad. His name was Iyad. And he only narrated one hadith from the Prophet Muhammad and that is this hadith. Only narrated one hadith from the Prophet Muhammad. Now, of the things that's mentioned about the type of baby, the one that doesn't eat food, it mentions it's the baby that it's not eating by choice. As for example, if the baby sees food and doesn't react, doesn't get excited, doesn't go start making noise, doesn't go for the food, then you know that baby does not desire the food. But if, for example, it's being fed, when the baby is born, you do the tahniq with the dates. Now, it's being fed something, okay? Or time to time, it might be given something, but it doesn't seek it, doesn't desire it. It's just something the parent's doing. That's of the different things that are mentioned regarding how do we define the child that doesn't eat food. Is it by them not eating food, generally speaking, or they don't desire to eat food? Rather they just crave, or they live off the milk only. Because, for example, there's some children, if they, as soon as they see food, they'll start going crazy, making noise or physically reacting, showing that they want the food. Prior to that age, the baby that doesn't respond like that, then that's the baby that's being spoken about. That's by way of one definition of the baby that does not eat food. La yat'am. But as for the one that, for example, is fed without seeking it, then that's also another consideration. But ala ayyi hal, regardless of the situation, the baby that predominantly lives off milk. Now, that is the one that is being referred to. As it says, for example, المراد لا يأكل الطعام يعني بأن يشتهيه ويشير إليه أو يصيح عند رؤيته. The ways that the baby desires food is they either crave for it, or they will point towards it, or they will make a lot of noise when they see it. And it mentions it's not, the intention is not that food has never entered their mouth. That's not what is intended by the mentioning of that condition. Of the things that is mentioned, there's ijma', scholarly consensus on the najasa, the impurity of urine, of mankind, regardless of the age, and regardless of who it is. And كل البول الآدمي نجس. Also, وجوب غسل البول, the obligation of washing it. Now, both situations, whether it's the boy child or the girl child, you still have to clean it with water. The only difference is in how. As for the girl child, you have to rinse it. As for the boy child, then you just pour water that it covers all of the area that the urine had reached. Of the things that I mentioned, the reasons behind this, of the thing that's mentioned, one, obviously at a time things differ from time to time, but at a time the boy child was carried more than the girl child. Then he picked up. There was a preference in picking up the boy child more than picking up a girl child. As we know, even in the situation of the Arab, they never gave preference to girls. And that's what of the things that was changed with Islam now. But obviously the effect of those practices may have taken a while to come into play. Obviously now today you find any child's picked up regardless of boy or girl. Also the things that's mentioned, because the boy was created from at-tin wal ma', was created from water and clay. And as for the girl, then she was created from blood and meat, as is the situation of Hawa. She was created from the rib of Adam alayhi salam. That's also the things that are mentioned. نعم.
اوكي من ضلع آدم.
نعم ولكن ليس من ماء، يعني آدم من ماء والطين. وحواء من ضلعه من لحم والدم.
اوكي يا صحيح.
نعم. Also, of the things that is mentioned, because within the boy child, in the private area is more of a hotter area, and with the girl child it's more of a place that's more moist. The urine has a different scent, so that the girl's urine smells stronger than the boy's. That's also the factors that are mentioned. يعني نتن البول
احتمالات ولا؟
لا هذا يعني الحقيقة. No. That's of the things that I mentioned. والله أعلم.
Yes.
يعني علينا السمع والطاعة. Allah knows what is the 100% the wisdom behind that, but that's what was legislated. But this doesn't ever mean that boys are better than girls. That's not what a person is to use as evidence for that. La. Abadan. It just shows there's a difference in cleaning the urine. And that is the main emphasis of the hadith. And it also shows the completeness of the Sharia. Nothing was left except that has been explained. Also, of the things that is mentioned, when a boy urinates, it doesn't go in one place. It usually goes all over the place. So if you was carrying a boy child and didn't have a nappy on, for example, the urine would go everywhere. Unlike a girl child, it's more likely to go in one area. Also, it shows al-mushaqqa tajlibu taysir. Hardship brings about ease. Hardship brings about ease. Because if we said, for example, if the boy's urine went everywhere, you'd have to wash the whole thobe. Rather than just when you pour water on the thobe, it's you pour it enough that the area is covered, but the water is not flowing. As for the girl child, you have to wash it, and it's most likely going to be affecting one area. So it shows ease within the religion also. The next hadith that I mentioned is عن أسماء بنت أبي بكر رضي الله عنها أو عنهما أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال في دم الحيض يصيب الثوب تحثه ثم تقرصه بالماء ثم تنضحه ثم تصلي فيه. And it mentions regarding the menstrual blood that soils the garment, that spoils the garment. What should she do? Said تحثه. First you scrape it. She should scrape it, then rub it with water. تقرصه بالماء. This is to rub it with water using your fingers. To, when you wash something, you rinse something with your fingers to make it come out of the thobe, to come out of the garment. And then تنضحه, then to wash it, pouring water over it completely, i.e. that area that has been affected. ثم تصلي فيه, then you can pray. Then you pray in it. And in the next hadith it mentions وعن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه قالت خولة يا رسول الله فإن لم يذهب الدم قال يكفيك الماء ولا يضرك أثره. هذا الحديث ضعيف ولكن معناه صحيح. The hadith itself is ضعيف, that second one. However, the meaning is correct. The first hadith that we mentioned is muttafaqun alayh. So in the first hadith, Prophet gave guidance on how to clean oneself in a garment if it's affected by menstrual blood. That one, you scratch it off, then you wash it with the fingers, using the fingers with the water to remove it, to make it raise from the garment, and then you rinse it with water. And that is sufficient for you. Once you've done that, then you can pray in that garment. The garment is now in a state of purity. Even if there's still traces in terms of color, la yu'athir, this has no effect. The trace, that it doesn't have any effect, as we mentioned previously. From this we learn najasatu dam al-hayd, that the blood of the menstrual blood is najis, is impure. And some say that all blood is the same. Like an ikhtilaf بين أهل العلم, there's difference of opinion regarding the scholars in that bab. Of the things that's mentioned alongside menstrual blood is also postnatal bleeding, is also impure. Secondly, the obligation of purifying تطهير الثوب من الدم الحيض وما في حكمه. The obligation of cleaning the thobe, the garment, from menstrual blood and anything else that has the same ruling, i.e. al-nafas, the postnatal. Also, it shows that even the little that remains of menstrual blood is not excused. You have to clean it all. Even if like there was a little that was missed, it's not excused. All of it has to be cleaned. It also shows that from the conditions of the salah is having a clean garment. And when we say clean in terms of pure. Pure. وتحريم الصلاة في ثوب النجس. The prohibition of praying in a thobe that is not pure. In a garment that is najis, impure. Also, the foundation of removing impurities is to be done with water. Al-asl fi izalat al-najasa al-ma. The foundation in removing impurities is water. Also, لا يجب غسل جميع الثوب. You don't have to wash the whole garment. فقط الموضع المصاب. You only have to wash the area that was affected. Now, as for the whole garment, no, you don't have to wash the whole garment. You don't wash the entire garment. No. Then after that we have Bab al-Wudu, the chapter of al-Wudu. يمشي عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه عن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أنه قال لولا أن أشق على أمتي لأمرتهم بالسواك مع كل وضوء in this رواية في كل وضوء. So had I not feared to bring about hardship on my ummah, I would have commanded them to use the miswak at every wudu. وهذا أخرجه مالك وأحمد والنسائي وصححه وابن خزيمة وذكر البخاري تعليقا. However, the hadith no. No, it says the isnad of the hadith is sahih. No. And they mentioned the hadith that speak about the encouragement of using using the miswak has reached a level of tawatur, i.e. is narrated in abundance. If you don't know your garment is dirty because you're wearing black, the reality is it's not based upon, everything's built upon certainty. It's not, so if you've tied your camel and you've done whatever you need to do, it's a lot easier today. But before they didn't have all of the things that you have today to safeguard oneself. If you don't, it's not built upon doubt, it's built upon certainty. So if you know your garment is spoiled, then you have to clean it. It's not based upon like possibility that is is like highly unlikely. No. So again, this hadith, it shows the virtue of using the miswak. The virtue of using the miswak. Okay. So I can stop. Little girls, please. No more running around. Run on that side, inshallah. So here, the virtue of using the miswak. Now, and also the Prophet was of those who would use the miswak abundantly. Of the times that he would use it is if he woke up from sleeping, before entering his house. No, please listen. Run on that side, please, not here. Run on that side. لا لازم يكون باللطف. محبته. هذا also, the person used to use it when he woke up, before entering his home. Now, before the salah, after making wudu. These are all the times that he would use the siwak. Or any time if there was a scent found from the mouth, one should use the siwak. Now, that's of the things that are mentioned. And it also shows the mahabbat in Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, siwak, shows the love of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam for using the miswak. Also, النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال مطهرة للفم مرضاة للرب. It's of the easiest ways to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As mentioned in the hadith, that it cleanses the mouth and it's also pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's also pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Was this the use of the soap?
Yeah.
Can you just repeat the hadith?
مطهر للفم ومرضاة للرب. Also, it shows the compassion of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ to the Ummah, that he left off commanding something that he loved out of fear that it would become hardship upon the Ummah. It also shows of the times that one is also recommended to do it, is one should try to look at those times that is mentioned that the Prophet would have commanded to do it, and from them is the time of making wudu. From them is at the time of making wudu. Also what's mentioned, there's a hadith that mentions لا تستاكوا بالعشي, not to use the miswak in the evening, but هذا hadith ضعيف. It's got no basis. It's weak. No. Also, it shows that the foundation commands is wujub, it's an obligation. Unless something comes to show otherwise. But the asl of a command is that it shows that something is an obligation. Also, it says, لو لا أن أشق على أمتي. The mention of ummati and attributing ummah to the Prophet Muhammad sallam also is evident of the virtue of this ummah. And specifically, obviously, it's referring to those who are upon Islam. No, not just anyone who's in this time period. As for Ummatul Ijaba, i.e. those who have answered. Again, it shows, it's okay, the principle Al-Mushaqqa tajlibu Taysir, hardship necessitates ease. And that comes by either something not being legislated in the first place, or something being made easy because of difficulty. An example, salah, when you're traveling, you can have shortening and combination, this is takhfif. This is takhfif. For example, not being obligated, for example, Salatul Tarawih, not being obligated in the initial state, never been obligated, showing that it's bringing about ease. Now, so either it wasn't made obligatory in the first place, or something obligatory has conditions that it's made easier.
قاعدة شو تقول المشقة تجلب التيسير.
No,
قاعدة فقهية.
that is from the Qa'ad Fiqhiyya. So you have Usul al-Fiqh and you have Qa'ad Fiqhiyya. These are from the examples of Qa'ad Fiqhiyya, al-Mushaqqa, tajlib al-taysir, hardship necessitates ease or brings about ease.
What was the word?
Takhfif,
تخفيف. What does it mean, sorry?
to make something lighter.
What's قواعد الفقهية translate to?
It's principles of fiqh or legal maxims, they may say as well. But the translation is only approximation. So also it mentions another important principle, أن درء المفاسد مقدم على جلب المصالح عند التكافؤ. So when the harms and the benefits are the same, you give precedence to repelling the harm than bringing about the benefit.
هي حفظتها بس درء المفاتن أولى من جلب المصالح أو المنافع.
مقدم.
درء المقدم درء المفاتن مقدم على جلب. حصل التكافؤ.
عند التكافؤ. نعم.
هاي زيادة هاي ما حفظتها من قبل. التكافؤ.
So درء المفاسد مقدم على جلب المصالح عند التكافؤ. So when we have a situation and when we look at, we're weighing up the harms and the benefits. If, stop, go there please, go there.
Excuse
Don't
me.
come back this way, please. When the same, the harms and the benefit is the same, then repelling the harm takes precedence. Repelling the harm takes precedence. Okay. Is that clear?
Huh?
That's clear?
Clear, clear.
As for the virtues of wudu, then as we know the hadith of Prophet at-tuhuru shatrul iman, purification is half of iman. Purification is half of iman. Say again? Yeah. أخرجه Muslim.
I've come across it both where it's like the wudu is half of the iman.
Yes, both. You have all those narrations. Al-wudu shatr al-iman as well. نعم.
ما في نظافة من الإيمان ومش حقيقي صحيح مش صحيح الحديث صح؟
نصف الإيمان لا.
لا.
1 second.
في نظافة من الإيمان في الجنة تحت أقدام الأمهات يقال إنهم ليس صحيح.
جنة تحت أقدام الأمهات ليس بصحيح.
إيه النظافة من الإيمان.
لا أنا سمعت النظافة نصف من الإيمان.
النظافة من الإيمان ضعيف. The hadith that is correct is الطهور شطر الطهور بالفتحة شطر الإيمان. Now, طهور يعني purify oneself is half of iman.
شطر
نعم.
نص
أي.
سبحان الله.
وفي رواية أخرى إسباغ الوضوء شطر الإيمان. يعني exaggerating the wudu, and when you like really sniffing it in and the likes, really washing, going above the elbow a bit, then this is also from half of Iman. But what is mentioned, al-murad bil-iman as-salah. Al-murad, the intended meaning by the word iman in this hadith is as-salah. And as based on Allah mentions, وَمَا كَانَ اللَّهُ لِيُضِيعَ إِيمَانَكُمْ أي بمعنى الصلاة. Also what's mentioned, which is important to understand, الطهور شرط لصحة الصلاة, because tahara is a condition for the authenticity of the salah. فصار كالشطر, so it's as if it's half, and it says لا يلزم في الشطر أن يكون نصفا حقيقيا. It doesn't mean it has to literally be half, but it shows that it's a great portion of that thing. لا ليس مجاز.
قطعة منه ضروري لا يتجزأ منه. يعني إيش ما كان نص ربع صح؟
لا شو بس يعني شطر الإيمان شطر الصلاة يعني it's like half of it, but it doesn't mean literally that this is two halves. It's just a big portion of it.
منه.
يعني
هذا يكمل هذا.
It's a big portion of the salah, but it's not majaz. That's the meaning of the word shatr itself, has that meaning that it's not, it's like as if it's half, but it's not literally half, like exactly that salah is two halves. You see, because there's more than one condition. Is one still considered travel when he reaches the airport of his home city but hasn't arrived home yet? Once you reach the airport of the land that you live in, Allahu Alam, I don't believe you're a traveler. No. Also, you know, the Prophet also mentioned in a hadith in the Bukhari or Muslim, لا تقبل صلاة من أحدث حتى يتوضأ. The salah will not be accepted from one who breaks their wudu until they perform wudu. So you, without wudu, لا يوجد صلاة. لا يوجد صلاة إلا مع الطهارة. There's no salah without in a state of purity. I mentioned الوضوء شرعا هو التعبد لله تعالى بغسل الأعضاء الأربع على صفة مخصوصة, وهذا من باب التغليب لأن الرأس يمسح. So I mentioned that it is worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by washing four limbs in a specific way, and that is from the angle of the majority, because the head is not washed, it's what? Wiped. So that's all the things that we will discuss in the next coming lessons, inshallah, regarding Bab al-Wudu. نعم. فنكتفي بهذا. اللهم صل وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. جزاكم الله خيرا. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.